Hey everyone, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Now, as we all know, some of the most popular anime films would have to be the ones given to us by Studio Ghibli. From the children's classics like My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service, and Ponyo, to thrilling adventures like Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, Howl's Moving Castle, Castle in the Sky, and Princess Mononoke, to underrated films like The Cat Returns, to the Oscar-winning masterpiece of Spirited Away. Speaking of which, I was surprised that The Boy and the Heron became Miyazaki's second Oscar-winning animated film a couple months ago. And while I'm hoping to blog that film when it comes out on home media this July, today I'd like to share my thoughts on a Studio Ghibli film that one of my followers, Gabriel Snyder, influenced me to check out a few years ago. So let's get started. Released in Japan on July 19th, 2014, and in North America on May 22nd, 2015, the movie is When Marnie Was There. And now, on for the plot of the movie. The film follows Anna Sasaki, a shy teenage girl who leaves Sapporo, Japan to spend summer break with her foster mother's relatives in the rural seaside town in the Kushiro wetlands in Hokkaido. There, the ailing, socially awkward schoolgirl stumbles upon the deserted marsh house across the shore, where Anna meets Marnie, an enigmatic blonde girl longing for companionship and friendship. Little by little, a mysterious, profound bond between the two young ladies forms, blurring the delicate boundaries of reality and fantasy. So, what are my thoughts on this movie? Well, to me, this is one of the most psychological films to ever come from Studio Ghibli, and I love every bit of it. And to further explain why I do, let's move on to Mustang notes. Now, the film is based on the book of the same name by Joan G. Robinson. Sadly, I've never read this book yet, but after watching the movie, I think I might want to give it a read someday. Anyway, the original novel had previously been cited by Hayao Miyazaki as one of his favorite children's novels. Hiromasa Yonbayashi was assigned the project by Ghibli producer Toshio Suzuki, who asked him to change the setting of the story from England to Japan. Yonbayashi found the story very moving, but he thought it would be very difficult to visualize it as a film, and he initially turned down the role. His interest was later renewed, and he began to conceive new elements for the story, such as Anna's characterization as an artist. Although the setting was changed, the decision was made to retain Marnie's appearance as a blonde, blue-eyed young lady, though Miyazaki was opposed to this decision. According to Ghibli producer Yoshiaki Nishimura, Miyazaki judged the usage of Marnie's character as plain, outdated, and cheesy to promote the film, although Nishimura clarified that catching people's attention with her appearance never had been their intention. Yonbayashi intended the film to be encouraging to children in Japan who felt lonely and isolated, and hoped that when they see Marnie, maybe they could take a little step forward. Key focus was placed upon highly detailed character movements and backgrounds, as well as depicting the details of Anna's experience in the environment. The marsh house that is central to the story was designed by Yohei Taneda, who Yonbayashi asked to draw the marsh house as if it were another character who watches over Anna. Yohei Taneda scouted buildings in Hokkaido for inspiration. Also to note, this was the last Studio Ghibli film that animator Makiko Futaki worked on before her death from an unknown illness on May 13, 2016. It was also the final film that Yon Bayashi directed for Studio Ghibli before he left and joined Studio Panak. After the film's release, it received positive reviews from critics who praised its animation, music, vocal performances, and emotional story. Plus, it was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature at the 88th Academy Awards, but it sadly lost to Pixar's Inside Out. And now, let's talk about the animation, and in my opinion, like the other Studio Ghibli films that I blogged in the past, I think the animation for this film is absolutely flawless. And I think the seaside town of Kisakibetsu, Japan, is a very peaceful looking place with very clean air. And I find it interesting that it was inspired by the Kushiro wetlands in Hokkaido. Plus, a few places that appear in the movie, like the Marsh House, was inspired by a villa in Karuizara, Nagano, and the old silo is based on Birmingham Overy Staith Windmill in Norfolk. Another thing that I like in this film is that it features an event called the Tanabata, also known as the Star Festival, which is a Japanese festival which celebrates the meeting of the deities Orihime and Hikoboshi. According to legend, the Milky Way separates these lovers, and they are allowed to meet only once a year on the 7th day of the 7th lunar month of the lunar solar calendar. And during the festival, families get to write wishes on tenzaku paper and hang them on bamboo trees at shrines throughout town or even in their own homes, with the hope that these wishes will manifest into reality. As for the rest of the story, well, I found it to be a very psychological coming-of-age film, and there were a few parts that I thought were pretty serious and thought-provoking at times. And there's a surprising twist dealing with one of the characters. Speaking of characters, let's talk about them and their voice actors. And let me remind you, I'll only be talking about the English voice actors. Our main character, Anna Sasaki, is voiced by Haley Steinfeld, whom was in the Pitch Perfect sequels, Bumblebee, aka Nightformers, the Spider-Verse films, and she plays Kate Bishop in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. To me, Anna is a very sympathetic character due to her being a foster girl. Also, throughout the movie, she's shown to have a very low self-esteem, deeming herself as worthless, ugly, awkward, a nuisance, and abnormal. And she's also prone to emotional outbursts. But with the help of Marnie and Sayaka, Anna starts to open up and becomes slightly more upbeat, smiling more, apologizing to Nobuko for hurting her feelings, and even referring to Yoriko as her mother. Also to note, I think Anna is a very skilled sketch artist and a very talented cook. Next we have Marnie, voiced by Kiernan Shipka, who voiced Janora in The Legend of Korra, Princess Una in Sophia the First, and she'll be in Twisters and Red One later this year. To me, Marnie is not only beautiful, kind, friendly, and lively, but she's also very adventurous and loves running in the forest, picking mushrooms, and rowing in boats in the marsh. Plus, I like that Marnie listens to Anna talk about her life at home and lovingly reassures her that everything will be alright. And I really love the scenes where Marnie teaches Anna to row a boat, where they dance outside the Marsh House, and where they have a picnic. Also, beneath her warm smile is a sad, lonely, and fearful girl who is neglected by her parents, bullied by her maids, abused by her nanny, and is scared of the silo on the hill. Plus, I found it very surprising that by the end of the movie, Marnie is revealed to be Anna's biological grandmother who raised her when she was a child. Next we have Anna's foster mother, Yoriko, voiced by Gina Davis, whom was in Tootsie, Earth Girls Are Easy, the Stuart Little trilogy, and Tim Burton's Beetlejuice, which will be getting a sequel this September. Now, despite the fact that she's not in much of the movie, I find Yoriko to be a very loving mother who does her best to make sure that Anna is happy and healthy, even sending her to the seaside for 3 months in order to help her with her asthma. Plus, she's also very emotional, often dissolving into tears under stressful situations. Also to note, in one scene, Anna tells Marnie that some time ago, she discovered that Yoriko was receiving monthly payments to cover Anna's expenses. These are Anna's step-aunt and uncle, Tetsu and Kiromasa, voiced by Greg Griffin and John C. Reilly. In my opinion, Tetsu is a kind and sweet woman who is very laid back and patient when it comes to Anna's issues, and she doesn't get too concerned when Anna gets herself into trouble, like coming home late, or when Anna insults a resident girl. And Kiyomasa is a calm, talkative, and caring man who often talks positively about other people. Plus, he often teases Anna by saying that the silo and the marsh house are haunted, which almost reminds me of my Uncle Robert. Another character to talk about is Sayaka, voiced by Ava Akers, whom I remember as the voice of Mumble's son Eric in Happy Feet 2. Sayaka is a young girl from Tokyo who moved into Marnie's childhood home in the Marsh House. You know, I really like this character due to her being a very friendly and upbeat girl who considers the health and happiness of her friends, including Anna, to be the most important part of her day. Plus, as soon as she moves in, Sayaka discovers Marnie's diary in a hidden drawer, and she quickly becomes interested in Marnie's life. Also, I like the scene where she and her brother Taichi search for Anna in the rain and help her get back home upon finding her with a fever. Other voice actors in the film include Ellen Bernstein as Nanny, the film's main antagonist, James Tsai as Marnie's childhood friend and husband Kazuhiko, Ashley Johnson as Anna's biological mother Emily, Rainey Rodriguez as Nobuku, Bob Bergen as Dr. Yamashita, Fred Tatashore as the fisherman Toichi, and Vanessa Williams as the artist Hisako. And now on to my final words. Overall, When Marnie Was There is a really wonderful film to come from Studio Ghibli. It has beautiful animation, it has a very psychological, emotional, and thought-provoking coming-of-age story. The main character, Anna, is very sympathetic due to her rough past involving her biological family. Marnie was a very sweet and caring friend, and there was a great twist involving her. The English voice acting is terrific, and the musical score is really sweet and can tug at your heartstrings. For those who have not seen this movie yet, it's really worth the watch if you love Studio Ghibli. But this is not something that little kids should watch on their own, due to a few serious and dark moments. As for my rating, I'll give it a full 100%. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to join me for my next blog. Mustang Power.